which we're going to list out for you here on India Today. Rahul Shrivastava, our National Affairs Editor, also with us. Rahul, a long-standing parliamentarian, member of parliament, not quite seen as a mass leader, but a man who many turn to, even from within his own party. And the troubled relationship with the Congress is something that we'll see, a little later. But as far as him being a troubleshooter, consensus builder, how valuable was the institution of Pranab Mukherjee as far as modern politics was concerned?
Shiv, I have not seen a politician of his caliber since Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Why I say that? Atal Bihari Vajpayee very successfully managed a very disparate coalition called NDA with 24 political parties. Now, when UPA defeated Atal Bihari Vajpayee and came to power, it was Sonia Gandhi who did not abdicated the throne. It was a reluctant prime minister who was called an accidental prime minister by his own media advisor. And at that time, it was a very unwieldy coalition. Now, in an unwieldy coalition, the task of keeping the coalition was with Pranab Mukherjee. Shiv, you'll be surprised to remember that Pranab Mukherjee at one time was heading 102 GOMs and committees in the UPA government. 102, from telecom to fertilizer to sugar to wheat to cement to industrialization, anything that the government in UPA was doing, and it did pretty well. See, remember it got re-elected in 2009. Rajdeep mentioned the nuclear deal. Prime Minister Manmohan Singh had the idea, but somebody was running the government behind the scenes, keeping the coalition together, keeping people like Sharad Pawar and all those coalition partners together. And that was the critical role of Pranab Mukherjee. 102 GOMs and committees Pranab Mukherjee was handling one time. I think it is physically not possible for any ordinary politician. Then Shiv, one day I was in his room when he was in parliament. A man who has moved from being leader of Rajya Sabha, leader of the House, Lok Sabha,
yes,
virtually every ministry, barring the Home Ministry, President of India, and Bharat Ratna. And remember Bharat Ratna, that minister had the kind of experience. One day there was a senior congressman who had a skirmish with a BJP leader on the floor of the house. And that leader was complaining in front of Pranab Mukherjee. And Pranab Mukherjee told that man, the Congress leader, you should not have spoken to an opposition member of parliament, because that man has moved from the flicker of a lamp in a village to the chandeliers in Delhi. And you should respect that. That's where lay perhaps Pranab Mukherjee's real values, that he understood India. He may not have been a mass leader, but he understood what the masses really wanted or really needed and how they behaved. And that is why crisis man, thinker, economist, external affairs very successfully handled. Pranab Mukherjee was perhaps one of the most critical elements in Congress's transition from Indira Gandhi to Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi.
Rajdeep, you very rightly pointed out that Pranab Mukherjee was the last of the old Indira Congress. Now, a phrase that we on television especially love throwing around quite a bit is end of an era. But would that phrase apply quite appropriately here with the passing of Pranab Mukherjee?
I'll give you a story, Shiv. He was a great admirer of Indira Gandhi, and he always had a picture of him with Indira Gandhi on his mantelpiece. I met him the day Pranab Mukherjee was sent in a delegation of ministers to meet Baba Ramdev at the airport. I think it was either 2012 or 13, the backdrop of the Anna Hazare agitation. He was very angry about it. He did not appreciate the fact that a minister was being sent to the airport much against his will to, in a way, placate Baba Ramdev. And I met him at about 12:31 in the night that day. I said, Pranabda, what happened? He turned to me, looked at that Indira picture and said, Rajdeep, if she was there, this would have never happened. He had this reverence for Indira. Of course, she gave him his first break in politics. He became a Minister of Commerce in 1980 when she came back to power. And I think there was that entire generation of congressmen who grew up in the late 60s and 70s, for whom Indira was the mascot that they sort of clung on to. He once told me that, Indira Gandhi is the kind of leader, send her to the South Pole and there'll be a crowd which will gather to listen to Indira Gandhi. So he wasn't a mass leader like Indira, but he had this huge respect for what I think like him, Indira Gandhi was a consummate politician.
Okay.
No, these were consummate politicians. They were not mass leaders,
Rajdeep?
but they were consummate politicians. And it was that, I think, that enabled them to survive in politics for so long.
Rajdeep, just hold on to that thought for a moment. I'm going to come back because we're getting as many political voices in on our coverage as well. Praful Patel, NCP leader, former union minister, also with me on the phone line. Mr. Patel, your thoughts today on this tragic news, your memories of Pranab Mukherjee. You've been a union minister.